Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is Tuesday, November 25th. This is Strada Live. My name is Michael Cioni, and we're so glad to have you here with us. Actually, I was talking to our guest today, Marc Aflalo, who's coming up in a little bit, but he made me realize something.
In progress.
A lot of us are actually on this some of you come every single week, which I find really flattering, really humbling, very nice. Some of you come every week. Some of you just pop in for 5 minutes. Some of you click on this and quickly click off. But some of you tune in a lot. And I want to say thank you to that from me and the rest of the team. Thank you for that. But also, we hope you get something new each time. We're working really hard and we are constantly trying to unlock new features. I am going to show new progress on the new agent today. And as we continue to build, we have just so many more features coming in 2026. And it's thanks to you that we have a product that people use. People want to help us expand it. We have customers all over the world, which is evidenced by last week's show in that we had a connection to Poland. Today we're in Montreal. It's awesome. It's just really, really great. So thank you from all of us for joining every week. And when I say all of us, I mean part of my team here as well. My co-founder and brother, Peter. We've got Shannon and Margot, our lead engineer, Austin. We're all very, very flattered that you tune in and that you're using the product and you're giving us great feedback. This is an interesting product because we are building this product in the public space. We were in beta for the better part of 2 years, transmitting all our information and sharing it with you to be as vulnerable as we possibly could and just really embody the element of transparency as we build this product. That means you give us feedback, you give us insight. It's not just about reporting bugs. That's useful, but it's more about helping us predict. In fact, we did a survey a couple weeks ago and the survey results came in and we are so excited about building exactly what our users are telling us to build. And that's what is so exciting about building this product. Now, if you're interested, that is an interesting opportunity for you because this is a very rare situation where we are bootstrapping this business. I basically put in the foundation to start the business, and then we were able to raise more money from friends and family, mostly colleagues and people that knew us. And they've helped us go for now 2.5 years of building this idea of being able to collaborate without paying for cloud storage. And wait till you see what we have in 2026. In fact, if you go to strada.tech/vision, my brother can put that link in the chat, strada.tech/vision, it will show you our roadmap. And you should take a look at that roadmap because this roadmap is full of awesome stuff. In fact, I'm going to switch to it right now and actually show it to you. If I go to the vision page, check this out. We are going to be building a license manager. This is a lot of the information that you asked us to do. You want to be able to buy licenses on behalf of your customers and your collaborators and your colleagues. So we're building that. This is an easy way for you to put in an email and drag and drop it into a license, which means you can transfer those licenses. So if you have 10 licenses, but you have 12 collaborators, you can remove one and replace it with another. So it's a rolling subscription that you can change around to different users. So that's powerful. Then we're working on a virtual file system, VFS. What that means is Strada will allow you to drag and drop files from other people's computers on other people's drives. Here's a OWC Envoy. I could have files on this Envoy and I could have someone else edit off these files 1,000 miles away, 5,000 miles away. That's what we're building, is virtual file system. Today, you can see the foundation of VFS when you look at Strada in Chrome because you're looking at files and they look local, but they're not. What we're about to do is break the barrier so you can take those files out of Chrome and drag them into Avid, Final Cut, Premiere, Nuendo, Pro Tools, Logic, Resolve, whatever. And that way you can really just get the access that you want without having to do cloud storage. Then we've got a messaging app so that you can actually communicate with each other within Strada so that you have the ability. A lot of small teams can't afford Slack and they don't want to set up Discord servers, or they have to use things like WhatsApp or email to communicate. We've got that solved on our roadmap. as well as commenting. One of the core foundations of any great tool is the ability to give feedback. And so we're going to be adding commenting into the platform. These are just a few things that we're going to be doing. And the reason that's significant is this is an opportunity for you to consider not just being a customer, but being an investor as well. So if you are interested in betting on this business and me and my team and our roadmap, you can email invest@strada.tech and we will be able to give you information about investment opportunities. So this is an opportunity for you to think, is this just an opportunity to be a customer? Fine, that's cool. If you want to be a customer, Strada, we love you and we want your feedback and we want to build the best collaboration product in the world. But if you want to go a step further, you have an opportunity to be an ambassador of a product that you own a little bit of. And if that excites you, send us an email and we want to talk to you about investment opportunities. And if you've never invested before, that's okay. This is so simple and easy, and it really will work with every single budget. So don't get overwhelmed or be afraid of how much money you need to invest. The truth is, you can risk a little and you can still maybe gain from that if we're able to work together on this, but you can risk whatever you want. So you can learn a lot about that. So we're going to send an email for those of you that reach out to us about that. So I'm really excited. Now, a couple weeks ago, we released an update in the jobs panel. That was a big release where there's more information in the jobs panel. But last week, we updated more information that's really exciting. I have to fix that. I don't know what that's the problem. There we go. And it is fixed forever. I had this problem last week. Sometimes I make a mistake in Keynote. Okay. The other thing that we just released is a new update in the jobs panel that allows you to click on these things. So we've got a byte for byte checksum, which is really big, right? That's really important. For those of you doing large transfers and you want to verify that that transfer got there, you can now click the verified button and you get an XX#64 verified checksum. If you transfer 500 clips, then you'll be able to see 500 little entries with the XX hash corresponding to each byte for byte successful transfer. So that's really important. Plus, we have a show in Strada button. So if you are the recipient of data, you can look at where the source came from. And since you're connected to it, think about this. You know, if you've ever been in an editing system or an audio system, you're in the timeline and you can right click and say show in Finder or reveal in Finder because you want to know where is the source of this media. With Strada, you can do the same thing, except the file could be in Poland. It could be 5,000 miles away. So we will show you where the source is because you're connected to it. Even if you've already transferred it, you can see where the source is, which is really cool. And then we're also giving you insight on the amount of files that are transferred, who transferred them, where they came from. All this information's there. We're also going to be releasing the new agent. Now, last week I shared the new agent was coming. We are so close. I don't know if Austin's able to hear me, but we are so close to the agent. And Pete, if you're able to get a little insight from Austin on when we think this might go out, let's let the people know. I know it's really close, but the new agent is awesome. And I want to show you a couple of things about the new agent. So let me just hide all of this material here. Okay. We don't need that. Okay. So if I click here, check this out. This is the new agent. And if we look right here, the first thing is it's a little bit larger. It's a little bit bigger than before. A button right here is really important. We can restart the agent. So if you need to restart the agent, it will actually do that for you. And so this is a quick way to do a quick restart. Plus, we're building remote restarts. So if you ever have a reason you need to restart an agent on someone else's machine, you're going to be able to do that. So remote restarts, or maybe you need to restart an agent on a machine that nobody's physically near. You could do that remotely. But I got some other things here. Check out this. I have a new gear panel, and in the gear panel, I now can show the version of the app, and I can set it to start automatically. I can update automatically, and I can keep awake. Keep awake is a really good way for you to make sure your computer can be receiving and sending files when you're asleep. So, you know, computers sometimes will cycle down at night, and once in a while someone will start a transfer and then the computer will shut off because of an energy savings permission or some sort of screensaver shutting it down. But with Strada, you can tell it to keep the machine awake. This is really good for computers on the Strada network. That way they're always accessible. If you are working in different time zones for your collaborators, then Keep Awake is a great button you might want to consider using. But you also have the ability to start the agent automatically and update automatically. Those are great buttons to have as well. Now there's another button here, which is if I go to bandwidth limiting. So if I click here, now Strada will actually do an evaluation of your network performance. So it's doing an audit right now of the network performance on my network. This is really handy. Now, you could always go to speedtest.net and Google and do a speed test, but with Strada, it's actually built in. So we're doing an upload evaluation and a download evaluation. There'll be some more upgrades with this. We're going to be giving you even more feedback on this, but as soon as this completes, what you're able to do is now set a bandwidth limitation. So if you know the limitation that you want to use, you could set the bandwidth to actually, maybe I only want to download 80% of my bandwidth and I want to upload 90% of my bandwidth. So now what that means is I'm able to, so here, look at, I can see the bandwidth evaluation finished. I have 224 megabits down and 26 megabits up. And so what that means is if I wanted to dedicate 80% of my agent to download, I could set that, or 90. But here's another option. I could set a specific number. So if my download speed is 224 and I want to allocate 180, now I can set 180 megabits per second of that. And if I wanted to do that with my upload, I could say, well, I have 26, so I want to allocate 18 up. So I could either type in a number based on the evaluation of that, or I could simply drag it to a percentage. If I didn't know these numbers, I could set this, maybe I want 100% down and 90% up. Or let's say you have a 1 gigabyte network, but you have 3 different agents all on that network. Well, if you put them all at 33%, then each of them will be able to transfer at about the same speeds, and you'll be able to be doing 3 transfers using all of your network. So that's a really cool way that you can get creative about being able to use multiple agents in the same place with the same network and being able to throttle and control your network per agent. Maybe you have an agent that's the most important. Well, I'm going to have that set to 100. And maybe another agent is something I can wait on. Maybe I'll set that to 10. This is so cool. This is new stuff that we've got in here to make the agent even more important, more powerful, and you're just taking so much control when it comes to being able to transfer these files without having to upload them to a cloud. It's awesome. It's exciting. You should try it. So that is the new agent. Those are the new updates right here. There's a few more coming. I'm really excited that this is coming. Austin says there is no timing yet on the deploy of the new agent, but he's hoping this week. So I guess I'm still showing you a preview. We're hoping to get this out this week, but I want to be clear. This is imminent. We are very, very close to getting this out, and we're really, really excited to getting it out. So it's coming very soon, so we'll keep you posted. Now, this deploy will be more feature-rich than previously anticipated. So there are a lot of features that are coming out. Our last deploy that was major for all of you was around September 9th, I think, was the last major agent deploy, was early September. So it's been about 6 or 7 weeks. And so we've been working for those 6 or 7 weeks very, very hard. There are so many features coming out, so many updates. And it's really setting us up for that future stuff I talked about on our vision page, which we're super excited about as well. Okay, so I broke both of these slides. That's not good. Did I break this one too? I did. Okay. Man, I gotta get my Keynote back online. I'm just all over the place. Okay, so we've got all that. We went over that, and we went over that. Okay, so we will make sure that, you know, if you want to stay up to date on everything we're doing, make sure you join our Discord. We'll show this at the end as well, but Pete, put an invitation to the Discord. If you're not in our Discord, you should join it. You should be there. This is an opportunity for us to be able to connect with you and communicate and make sure that we're capturing your feedback, and you're the first to know when these updates deploy, and you can read all about the updates. Austin mentioned it's coming. There's a whole bunch packed in there, and there's thousands of hours of work in this new update, and it's really going to make the product, it's very polished. Like, there's so much polish going on. I think you're going to really, really feel it and love it. Okay, now I want to move on to a really cool opportunity with our special guest, Marc Aflalo. Marc is actually a very, very talented, multifaceted producer, editor, but also director. He is a consultant and just a mixed media person that works in picture, sound, on set, behind the set, production, post. And those are my favorite people because they are multi-hyphenate, as we say. And so Marc is amazing. And one of the things that's cool about this is I am in Los Angeles and Marc is in Quebec. And so that's about 3,000 miles or almost 4,500 kilometers for the rest of you in the world. That's how far apart we are. So this is an important story because I'm going to invite Marc on. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he's doing and a little bit of the workflows that he's been using. And we're going to be doing an example of one of those workflows specifically for podcasters. And I think this is important because, you know, podcasting is not about having a lot of coverage, right? We don't shoot 3,000 clips with podcasts, but we shoot 2 or 3 really long clips. So the problem with podcasting isn't that it's really hard to edit. It's really hard to move. And that's interesting. When you make a movie, you make 3,000 short little takes. But when you make a podcast, you make 3 huge takes. How do we do that? Well, I want to invite Marc to come into this. So, Marc, if you could, for the moment, Marc, if you could stop sharing your screen so we can see your face for a second. I think that might look a little bit better full screen. And then we'll come back to that when we get to the demonstration. But can you hear me, Marc? Am I coming in?
I can hear you okay. I actually have two sessions in the Zoom. One's just
you do.
face, one's my share screen.
Awesome. Well, see, you got it. You and Margot figured this out better than me. That's for sure. I have. So, Marc, tell us a little bit about first about you and what you're doing, and then let's transition a little bit into how you've discovered Strada and how you started to use it.
So I've been in broadcasting for 30 years. Started in radio. And obviously over, especially the past 10 years, it's graduated, you know, immensely into video, mostly started off as social, but then especially in the podcast space, everybody's gravitating towards video in some way, shape or form, whether they're doing their full episodes in video or they're just actually, you know, recording video for social purposes. The workflow has changed. It's not just audio files, which are normally long but small in terms of the actual file size. But now with recording video for, as you said, you know, these long, you know, sessions, it's become a pivotal part of the process, not only for storage, and the amount of money we're spending in cloud storage has jumped immensely. So tools like Strada and ways to transport the media in a time efficient manner, sometimes in an extremely timely manner, has become super important. So in terms of actually discovering Strada, you know, I've been following you since your Frame.io days, and of course when that switched over to Adobe, and I'm a big Adobe user. And obviously when it comes to the cloud and different ways to leverage things, especially with a remote and disconnected workforce, because my editor's in a different part of the country and I have different contractors in different places, getting access to our media is super important, and getting access to the media in a time efficient manner so that we can turn things around just means that I can level up my own business and my offering to my clients. So I'm constantly on the lookout for different solutions out there to make things easier, but also at the same time, with the way the economy is not blowing every single penny I have on all these different cloud storage solutions. We're getting there, but Strada's a major piece of that puzzle, especially with some of the things that you have coming ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, that is really one of the cruxes for us. About a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I was paying with our team here, our team of 4, we were paying about $1,400 a month for the cloud storage traditional collaboration products that we were using. And we sort of, like a lot of people, we started paying like $200 or $300 a month. And then over time, as we grew and our mission grew and our storage grew and our camera files grew, all of a sudden I just like woke up one day, got the bills. And it's like, when did this happen? Have you ever had an experience like that where like everything was fine and then all of a sudden it's not fine?
I mean, I feel this every single day. Like I feel it every single day, especially with shrinking budgets. You got to look at every dollar, every cent, every penny, and when it comes down to it, you can compromise in certain areas. You look at longer term software solutions and various things like that, but storage has always been one of those things that it always creeps up. It never goes down, regardless of what I try and do. Sure, I can purge stuff out of Dropbox. That's great, and that keeps me below my cap. But then a new project comes along, or a new client comes along, and again, I need to start sharing assets. So I do the dance. I'm moving stuff from Dropbox, which is more immediate stuff that I'm using now that I'm sharing with editors, and then into my NAS that's on site. And then when he needs to access stuff like that, I'm using things like Synology Drive. But again, it's then you have to upgrade your network internally. I've got a 10 gig network, so I can shuffle things back and forth. That makes it more efficient for not only me in real-time editing, but also my editor having access to things. So it's really a hodgepodge of all these tools that all bring up the incremental costs. So yeah, I feel this every single day. And every month that I get another bill for something else, I'm like, oh my God, is there a better way to do this?
It's amazing that, because you're right. You're saying a story that a lot of people have. We've had it. We're building this product with the same challenges. And we're trying to solve our own problems, and hopefully we'll solve yours as well. So speaking of solving problems, why don't you talk us through a little bit of this particular podcast? Because take us through, how you do a lot of these podcasts, the footage, the camera codec and things like that. And then let's assume in this example, I'm like the editor and you have to like make sure I can start to see these files. So take us through the story here.
Yeah, so we had municipal elections in different areas of the island of Montreal. We had elections about 2 weeks ago, and I got a phone call on a Friday before the election day, which is the Monday, by one of the municipalities, and the mayor wanted to make sure that he was reaching the younger demographic, and he knew that traditional door-to-door campaigns wasn't necessarily the way to do it. So he called me up and said, "Hey, we want to record a series of short 3 or 4 minute podcast episodes in a sitting, so that we can share this across social media over the weekend to try and get that younger demographic to come to the polls and vote." So we showed up with a 2 camera shoot. I use a Sony A7C and a Sony A7R4. In the podcast space, I'm not dealing with a lot of ProRes too much, because I like to ensure that what I'm seeing in camera is ideally what we're going to get at the end of the day. It makes for a faster turnaround and a faster process, because when it comes to podcasts, yeah, sometimes we have some great clients that will give us, come record today. They don't want it for another month, but most of the time it's pretty immediate turnaround, because in this day and age with a podcast, the mentality isn't, oh, this is a full video production. It's a little bit more down and dirty, where we want to record and get things at a higher level, but we want to turn it around a lot quicker. And that tends to be what I'm seeing these days. And this was a perfect case of that, where he called us up and said, we're going to go to this great historic area of our town called Dorval, and we're going to record 2 hours worth of content, and we're going to stitch it together and make these great social media clips on the weekend. But this is a Friday at noon Eastern time, and he wanted to start pumping stuff out that evening. So of course, in this typical workflow, I have an incredible video editor named Jordan, and I wanted to get him the content as quickly as possible. And I knew the only way to do that would be record fast, drive home fast, upload it to Dropbox and wait for it to sync on his end. Or, of course, light bulb moment, I'm like, let me just use Strada. This is a perfect use case where I can be recording stuff, and every couple of minutes I can just stop things after one of the sections and make sure that he's grabbing those files in the background. So what you're seeing here is the Dorval election podcast. And let's pretend that, Michael, you're playing the role of the editor, and you can see in this folder, I've got my footage folder, and I've got isolated audio from different mics. I've got the 2 different camera angles going on here. We've got pretty big files. We're looking at 35, 38 gigs for the long kind of 40-minute run-throughs that we went through. Obviously, the audio that matches it. So in this role, I'm gonna share this folder with you. So add you here. I think actually you're ready. I'm trying to move you so I can re-add you, Michael.
Yes. You got to re-add me.
So I'm gonna re-add you here, and I'll make you an editor so you can kind of grab everything you need. And with one invite, exactly the exact same workflow I did with my editor, he was able to open Strada on his end and start grabbing stuff. And before I even left the venue recording things, I was able to talk him through different elements of it and how we wanted to produce this at the end of the day. And this allowed me to not only over deliver to my client because they really weren't expecting something until the next day, but to ensure that while I'm sitting there recording, my editor's already started on this, and it's not been that easy, and you talk about things like, Dropbox, you would have to sync, the internet connection would have had to been a high capacity, over cellular probably wouldn't have worked very well. So it definitely was a case where this came in handy. And this is just scraping the surface because this is just one session. I've now started putting this into my workflow with all these different podcast recordings that I'm doing on site at people's offices.
It's amazing. I'm actually looking at the files now, and I see here some of them are, they're almost an hour long. I think one of these was like a 50-minute plus interview, and I see it's 2 cameras. And so, once we get the audio there, we can see the audio is all here as well. So when you're shooting dual system sound, did you send the audio first, or which of these files did you send to your editor first?
I sent him the video first, because I knew the audio was going to try. I mean, I shared the whole folder. So he can kind of grab what he needed. But the intention is I have a scratch track on the audio as well. So he was able to start doing a cut with just the actual initial footage, and then we were able to go back in because we nest everything and make sure that we can sync the audio afterwards. And then we were able to go back in and tweak the audio processing afterwards and just sync it up to the actual production that he was doing.
Got it. So in this case, I'm able to see both the picture and sound. And since this came from the Sony A7, I think these XML files are the same. They're just the metadata files that came with the camera footage, right?
Exactly.
Right. Very good. And so on your screen, the material that you're seeing on Zoom here, this is actually Marc's local drive that he's connected there. Or is this actually off the card? Is that what you were saying?
This is actually on the computer. I have another one that I can demo you that's on the card itself. Another podcast that I was producing, all about living as a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's and dementia, and we record 2 or 3 episodes a week in someone's home. So we literally go to the home, we set it up, again, 2 camera shoot, 2 lavs, a couple shotguns, just to make sure we have backup audio. And that's something I recorded last week. And on my Strada, you can see I have on my MacBook here the Untitled drive, which is the actual raw footage on the card. And when I actually go into it, you can see that I have, and look at the same card that I used for the doorbell guy. You can see this is just one of the camera angles. Similar situation. I do a little bit of the color grading afterwards, but again, for these podcasts, because we want to get things out quicker, I try to use as much in-camera processing as I can. But again, you're looking at hour long recordings here. So 34 gigs, and similar situation. This one wasn't as timely. We didn't have to get it off the same day. But since I'm getting into the habit of this workflow, it's just becoming part of my everyday process now. Once I'm doing this, let's get the files to my editor, and that way he can start working on things a lot quicker. And this, by the way, Michael, I in my broadcast world, this has translated quite well because I do a lot of work for SiriusXM. In the past month, I've been at the World Series. We did a red carpet at the Hockey Hall of Fame about 2 weeks ago on a Monday night. And it was hilarious because we were doing a live broadcast on SiriusXM, so audio only, but there's a lot of video that goes on for social purposes. And we had a great social media person there capturing stuff on the phone. But because there were so many people there and there was congestion, he had to walk outside every couple minutes to try and get these things to upload so that the social media person could do it. And after the first half hour of this 3-hour broadcast, I'm like, guys, there's an easier way to do this. Popped out my Sony, popped it on the tripod, started recording stuff. And because I had a hardline internet connection, I was able to share that stuff again in Strada directly to someone at the studio to be able to cut social clips a lot quicker. And I'll tell you, the amount of questions I've gotten after that saying, well, okay, so how do we use this every single day, it's been quite entertaining, especially when I'm introducing these kind of tools in a non-traditional sense, right? Because in the broadcasting space, like when you're talking about real, like live broadcasting, I think a lot of people look at Strada and they're like the video production workflow, but because you support the audio files and because you support all the video files, this has use cases across the board. Podcasting is one, obviously filming a movie is another, but in broadcasting, just getting real access to audio and video, a lifesaver.
That's an incredible example, because what I find interesting about that is the use of audio by itself. And it gave me an idea here. If I say, Marc, I'm going to make a folder called Marc, and I'm going to grab your audio files, and I'm going to transfer them to my computer, because I actually want to see what happens here. Let's see here. HIJKLM. Where is Mark? There's Mark. I want to transfer these files because a lot of times people still may have bandwidth limitations, especially if they're in the field, right? If they're in the field, they might not be able to move all the video. But one thing that some people can start doing for like some of the work is if you have the audio file, you can get that file first. You could get that file going. That can be kind of a little hopscotch. I don't know if you've ever done it that way, but when I'm doing some transfers, sometimes I can do it with the sound first, and that gets it going.
100%. Listen, as an audio person, my focus is always on the sound. You know, I'm sure you've heard this saying, but I mean, crappy video is almost forgivable sometimes if the audio is good, but if the audio is bad, you're likely gonna get people to tune out. And again, that's more of like an audio first kind of environment, but I find that it definitely translates as well across different industries.
I totally agree. I certainly made most of my career in picture, but to quote Walter Murch, the eye sees what the ear hears. And so that's Walter Murch's way of saying sound is dominant over picture when it comes to how we pay attention, maybe even suspend disbelief, things like that. And so for me, when you're doing dual system sound, this actually becomes an additional lever that you can pull when you're talking about limited workflows. So you have red carpet or you have fast turnarounds and you need to get transcriptions done. You need to get the essence of what the interview is. Sometimes people might go to a lot of trouble to get like, you know, Arri Alexa to be the camera that they're going to shoot with. Well, getting that Arri Alexa material is going to look great, but getting it to an editor is now a new hurdle. But the sound can go really quickly and get people going. That's why I really like cameras that shoot proxy files, because a lot of cameras can shoot a high and a low at the same time. Arri is not one of them, which is part of their product roadmap problems. But most cameras now shoot a high and a low. And I really like that because I can send these quick proxy files with video directly to my collaborators. Or if I don't have that, I could at least send the audio.
I'll give you an interesting use case a week ago. And I produce a podcast called Double Tap. And it's all about technology from the perspective of people who are blind or have low vision. And the host of that podcast, Stephen, he went to an event in the UK called Sight Village. And it's an audio first podcast, but it's been on video for the past year. And Stephen, although he's blind, he completely self-produces the whole thing. But when we're at an event like this, he relies on me to help put things together and do things in the background. And I said to him, you know what, why don't you just install Strada, share this folder with me where you're going to start dumping things. And as you're going, I can start piecing this stuff together for you so that when you're done with your day, you're going to be able to be a couple steps ahead. And without any issue, again, using screen reader technology and all the accessibility settings, he was able to share the folder and I was able to get the content and share it right back with him. So he's able to produce those shows on the road. Again, another use case that I probably hadn't thought of, but since I'm now getting in the habit of using Strada more and more, I'm like, you know, let's try this tool in this workspace. And that way I can obviously share feedback with you guys, which is always fun.
Wow. Well, do me a favor here. Click on the little circle in the upper right of your Strada, because I started transferring those audio files and I want everyone to understand just, leave it on others jobs, go to others jobs and give it about 5 seconds. You'll see here in about 3, 2, 1, it'll show you the progress, but that might be clickable. Let's click that actual icon. There we go. This is new, folks. What you're seeing right here is also a new feature in Strada that is like it's still not finished. The thumbnails aren't working, but you can actually see, look at this, Mark. You have never seen this before. This is giving you a breakdown because I transferred several files. It's showing you where the status is. There's still some problems. You're missing some bytes and some thumbs, but it's coming. You get the sense of what we're doing here, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So this is an example where even the time isn't right. It says 5:29. That's not right. All right, look, there's some work to be done, but that kind of snuck out last night. And so it's got a little work to do, but you can see right there, completed just now. And if you click on that verified button, you'll be able to see the checksum. Do you see that next to the green, checkbox? There's a little
verified. There we go.
Verified. Does it? Oh, is it not? Oh, did we lose the ability? Oh, it's kind of arguing with you. I see how it's going. Well, we still got some things to work out here, but that should allow you to get a checksum. I'm going to try to get it myself. I got it on my screen. And now here for people seeing on my screen, I have the ability to show the audio files. These are the files that Marc shared with me. And this is the checksum that we were able to get, which is a byte for byte transfer. This was a few gigabytes of WAV files. And if you recall, I put those in the Marc folder. So now in the Marc folder, I've got all the audio local to me from his computer. Now, what's funny, if you're really paying attention, I transferred these files from Marc's computer while he was telling us his stories about the red carpet and about the vision impaired workflow. He didn't actually know I was pulling those per se. It didn't affect him. It didn't bother him. What is really interesting, and I want everyone to understand this, if you are ever, all of you have transferred files. Everybody's transferred files. But I'll tell you something about transfers that you might not have realized before. When you transfer files, almost all of the work has to be done by the sender. You have to reach out to a sender. They have to pull the files for you. They have to upload them to you. They have to invite you to a cloud folder to get them. You have to wait for that to finish, and then you get a link, and then you can download. All that has to happen for you before you can get the files. With Strada, you notice Marc just invited me to a folder. I got to decide what's my bandwidth, what's my job, what's my priority. And if I said it was audio, I could simply pull that audio from him. He doesn't have to identify things. I noticed he had MP3s and waves. He probably had one of these were the primary interview. One of them was a secondary interview. If I knew the primary, that's Friday night, we have to get this out. Well, what's the first thing I need? I can prioritize that download first, and I could get just a camera going. I don't need A and B for me to be able to start assuming how to edit this thing together. I could get B later and then just sync it up with timecode. So these are the types of things this unlocks. But remember, you're seeing me transfer a file with a self-serve experience instead of having Marc have to do all the work for me. So Steve Riffis on YouTube asks, even with the bugs you just showed, thanks, Steve, it still beats Dropbox sync activity. Well, we'll take that, Steve. We appreciate that because I know there's bugs. It's new, but we are quashing so many of these bugs. That's why the couple thousand hours of work in this new update coming in the next few days, you're going to see a lot of improvements, Steve. But we appreciate your tolerance. We appreciate everybody's tolerance with our bugs, but we're working them down, and they're starting to go away, and that's just going to make the experience even better. Cool. So, Marc, I want to try one more thing with you. And if, people on my screen, I've got an Envoy here from OWC, and I want to show. So this is an example where we shoot a lot on iPhone. When we do podcasts and we do field things, we use the iPhone a lot. It's really easy. It's really light. And now it shoots ProRes 4K and ProRes RAW. And we just use these Envoys as our storage recording. So this connects to my iPhone and records. So I was at an event a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to plug this into my computer. And in just a few seconds, you see the Envoy right here. So I can go to my agent and I can turn the Envoy on. So I've got the Envoy selected. And in this Envoy is an event here called CFA, that's cinematography for actors. And I can see I have a 173 gigabyte file. It's a log ProRes file. Well, if I wanted Marc to see that, now, of course, Marc, this is a log file and it's really big, but we know that that's okay, right? So I'm going to go to CFA. Marc, what is your email?
marc@aflalo.com.
That's right. Okay. Whoops. And if I do the same thing and make Marc an editor, now if we go to your screen, Marc, and you refresh, by the way, refreshes are going away in December. So you won't have to refresh in December. So that's going away. Click on CFA, and there, that quickly, Marc's got a 175 gigabyte file that's on my Envoy sitting on my desk. And I think that there, and that's what's cool. There's a proxy of it too, because the iPhone shoots ProRes 4K and H.264 or H.265 proxies. So if you wanted to pull the proxy down, you'd be able to pull that. And then if you needed the raw later, you could do that and relink it. But those are basically the same files. I would not transfer this right now while we're on Zoom. I do not have the bandwidth live on Zoom to do this, and nor do we have the time. But Mark's doing the exact right thing. He's going to the files. He can look at the files. He could watch the files. You could listen to the files, or he could transfer them. And in this case, I would have him transfer the proxy file first, because that would allow him to move a quicker transfer than oh, it's only 725 megs. You could pull that one. I'm sorry. Let's do that. That's the proxy. That's the beauty of it. I should have known that. So
did I transfer or download?
You got to transfer. Do not download. We are removing download. You could put on your desktop, I guess, or the untitled or the double tap. Any of those are good. Yeah. And so now if Mark, let's see what speeds we get. This might affect my upload speed here. That would be in your jobs, and just wait 5 seconds and there it starts transferring. Hopefully, yeah, there you go. It wants 3 minutes to transfer that. Now we're doing a live Zoom now. So Pete, let me know if I have to cancel that transfer, because we're literally using the bandwidth to do this live transmission. But while we're doing a live, Mark's literally pulling a proxy file. And this is also another part of the workflow, Mark. Remember, I talked about I like cameras that shoot proxy files. Here's a 175 gigabyte ProRes. That's going to take a while for us to get to Quebec. But 3 minutes to get the proxy, and then you can start going like this, and no cloud upload, and someone could be watching this at the same time. It's really, I just got to say, the excuses people have for not using modern workflows are getting kind of unacceptable. Like, there's so many choices now. This is getting so easy. We should all be able to take advantage of them.
No, this is amazing. I mean, especially, again, you focus on the video workflow, but I think people, once they start playing with Strada, will realize how they can fit this into their existing workflow, no matter what it is. There's a natural fit across the board.
I appreciate that. And what's funny is, if people can see my screen here, this is going to be really interesting. If they can see it, maybe I'll turn it this. What's that? Can you stop the transfer? I think we've eaten up all the bandwidth. So you can hit the cancel on that. You'll have to hit cancel there. Yeah. Thank you. Let me know if we're good, Shannon. Now, but I still want you to play it. So if you can click on the asset, yeah, if you can still play the file, what people can see on the drive is, as soon as Mark loads the file, it'll take a couple seconds since he refreshed, he can play it back. You can see the drive's going to start blinking as he plays back the file, and maybe even play the big one. Is that the big one, or is the other one the big one?
This is the 700 meg one.
Yeah.
The 161.
Yeah. Click on the 100 gig one. Yeah. And when he plays that back, you can see, some of you can see on the drive right here, the drive blinking. And if Mark pauses that, if you pause that, Mark, the drive will stop blinking, because he's not playing it anymore. I don't know if you can see that yourself, Mark, and then play it one more time. Now the drive will start blinking again. So it's kind of crazy that you're sending commands to this little drive on my desk, 3,000 miles, 5,000 miles. I don't know how far away, a couple thousand miles, but it's pretty cool that that's even possible. So
yeah, it's pretty insane.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Mark, I want to thank you for being a customer, being a user, being an early adopter. I love the stories that you shared with Red Carpet, the broadcast, the podcast, even the fact that there was a vision impaired experience. I would love to learn more about that, how we can improve our product so that it can work in those types of disabled situations. Like, I want to learn what we can do. So this is very, very good feedback. Before we go, Mark, what would be your advice to people that are interested in maybe starting into the Strada workflow? You mentioned that you're starting to work it into more and more of your workflows. What would be a good starting point for people?
Install it, and watch some of the videos on YouTube, because you guys go so deep into the process of the creation of the use cases that it sparks the imagination of different ways in which it might work into your workflow. So I would say give yourself a half hour, just watch some of the videos, but go and sign up, because using something like this is the key to your imagination and how it's going to work for you in particular. And don't just think that because it's picture first here that it doesn't work into your workflow. Files are supported, they can be transferred. This is an incredible lifesaver, whether you're covering the Olympics in Milan or you're doing a podcast down the street and you need to get that file to your editor 2 blocks away.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you so much, Marc. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, all the way in Quebec. Have a wonderful weekend. We have like a short week, here in the US. What is Canada? What is don't you have a Thanksgiving like the first of the month? When do you do that?
We had Thanksgiving about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's not as big as a deal. We embrace Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Thanksgiving here in Canada as well. We'll just take the shopping deals, but unfortunately we have to be at work the whole week.
You have to be at work. Well, we're going to have a short week. So in my mind, the weekend's closer than it is, but we appreciate you being here with us. And thanks for being a customer. We'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, finishing up, folks, on this, I want to show you a couple of the workflows here. This was one of the workflows that we just demonstrated with Marc that showed the ability to have an editor view the files remotely through the stream. So that was the stream when I was playing back the files of The Politician by the Fireside Chat. That would be an example of a reviewer on a stream. Or when Marc was watching the CFA log footage from the iPhone off my OWC drive, that would be an example of that. The other example is when you're delivering to a remote editor. So Marc has a laptop. He's got the camera card. He can plug in the camera card and he can transfer those files directly from one computer to the other. Now, you heard Marc say, should I download or transfer? We don't want to confuse people. We're actually going to be removing the download button because download actually is not fully peer-to-peer. It is actually going to be available to people that need to do a quick download of a file in the player. So if you load something in the player and you want to download it, this could be an easy solution for a small single file for like a client that needs to pull a file down. But the confusion was when you need to do a lot of transfers, we don't want to use the download button. We want to use the transfer because web browsers are not really good at managing really big downloads. Have you ever had like a web browser have to like zip a file or zip a bunch of files together, or you have to wait for that to happen? That's because the web files don't want to like send 50, gigabytes or 500 gigabytes. And so we need to do that outside of the web browser. That's what the transfer button is. The download is using Chrome to do a download. That works for a small file, but transfer uses the Strada agent, which means Chrome can crash, Chrome can quit. And even you could close your laptop, you could go to Starbucks, open it up, and continue the transfer right where you left off. It wouldn't even fail. You could even do that 6 hours later. So that's where transfer is all about the bulk actions. Plus, we can give folders, so we can respect folder structures, and we can give the checksum. So you can have all those benefits with transfer. So the right-click download is going to go away, and you're going to get transfer, and it's going to help you understand how you get a better experience, especially when you're moving big files, as in this graph right here. Now, how much does this cost? Well, the good news is we've made it available for free. You can sign up today for free, and you can install the Strada agent. You can connect on Mac and Windows. You can connect Mac to Windows, which is actually kind of hard to do if you think about it. And you can connect RAIDs and NASs and SANs and drives and disks and camera cards to Mac and Windows, all for free. This is an unlimited connection experience. You can connect as many terabytes, as many drives as you want. You can even invite as many people as you want. Now, what the limitation is, you can view all of that files. You can view all of those files, but you can only transfer 15 gigabytes for free. So think of that as like an emergency transfer where you have to get a file to someone on the free plan. 15 gigabytes, that's on us, no problem. But if you need to transfer a lot of those proxy files, so you saw like Marc was grabbing a proxy file that was, I think, an hour-long proxy file, and it was only 700 megabytes. Well, if you're moving only proxy files, maybe sound, maybe H.264s, you can go to the basic plan, which is $12 per month, and it allows you to transfer 250 gigabytes of files. You can connect 250 terabytes, but you can transfer 250 gigabytes for $12. You can also get a 33% discount if you bought it annually. And if you buy it annually, it goes down to $8 per month US, $12 monthly. Now, what if you have to transfer a lot of raw files or a lot of ProRes files or big podcast files that are multiple hundreds of gigs? Well, we have an unlimited plan. The unlimited plan is $30 each month, or it goes down to $24 if you buy a year subscription. This allows you to transfer as many files as you want. You can literally transfer 30 terabytes a month. That's totally fine. And you get additional permissions. You get the ability to gate view only, so you can control view, and you can make it so nobody can download or transfer a file. And you get admin. And admin means you can invite someone to a level of permissions where they can invite other people too. So there's a lot of cool permissions in this experience as well. Very powerful stuff. So this allows everyone to participate. If you have clients, they can be on the free plan. They can watch everything. They can download little files. If you've got proxies with editors that are remote, use the basic plan. If you're moving big files, use unlimited. Here's another bonus. I'll give you a tip. If you like what we're doing and you like where we're going, buy the unlimited plan. The unlimited plan is good for a year, which means as we add in more features, you can get grandfathered into those experiences, which means you don't have to upgrade and pay extra. We're gonna give some favor to people that pay annually, because we're gonna be releasing a lot of big features in 2026. You might be able to get some of those features included with your annual plan. So that's an opportunity. Seth, good to see you, Seth. Happy Tuesday. You said, are we going to be at NAB in April? Well, this is a really, really good question, because NAB is actually on the mind, even though it's November, December, January, February, March, April. That's still 6 months away, but it's on the mind. So we're really excited. We have a big announcement coming soon, and we can't wait to share more about that. So there will be a special announcement for NAB coming very soon, and we'll announce that hopefully in the next few weeks. So stay tuned, Seth, but we'll definitely be there. Hope you'll be there as well. Remember, everyone can install Strada mobile. Everything that we experience today you can experience on the mobile app as well. In fact, if I switch to my phone, I should be able to do that. You can see here comes, let's see here. Let me open up my phone here. I'll launch Strada. I should see Mark in here, unless maybe we disconnected. Oh, there it is. Mark's MacBook Pro. Here's the stuff Mark shared with me earlier, and you can see that quickly. Here's a 38 gigabyte file loading on my phone. So like, just the access in this, for a lot of you, just being able to access files this quickly on your phone is really, really, really something. So I've got the file here. I can skip all the way to the end. It's 55 minutes long. You can see we're able to play this back off Mark's drive, thousands of miles away. So this is a really, really exciting experience. So you should definitely install the phone app. It's very powerful, and it's also free, and it's on Google and Apple, which is why we support all of the platforms: Mac, Windows, iOS, and Google. So we are excited about that. We want you to join our Discord. We are available for you to always chat with us, and we look forward to communicating with you. We have those updates coming soon. That information will go into the Discord, so make sure you're on it. And if you ever need a one-on-one demo, or you want to have a customer or client or collaborator get their own private onboarding, my brother Pete and I, we do private onboarding sessions all the time. So people jump on, we get them set up, we set up teams, and they're able to get going, and we can hook them up with extended trials and things like that. So if you want to try this, or you have a client that you need to get them onboarded, you want our help, we're here to do that. It costs you nothing. Just send an email, let us know. You can schedule a demo. We are absolutely happy to do that. And so this is what it's all about, ditching the cloud. We're excited to do that, and we really want to. Art asks, Does Strada care about the OS? A little bit, Art. On Windows, it really needs to be Windows 11. Windows 10 has some issues. We know of some users on Windows that have Windows 10 working with Strada. It should work, but there can be configuration issues on 10. It's technically built for Windows 11. On Mac, we go back 3 operating systems. I think back to Ventura, it works. And so that all works. But the limitation is more on the hardware than the operating system. In Windows, you're going to need a ATI or, I'm sorry, an AMD or a NVIDIA GPU card for this to really work. And on Mac, you need to be on Apple Silicon. Intel Macs do not have the hardware acceleration needed for Strada to serve files correctly. So it has to be Apple Silicon, which are basically computers built from 2020 on. They released the M1 in 2020, and we're now on M5. So and it's about to be 2026. So there's about 6 years of Macs that will work. On Windows, you do need an ARM-based chip, ARM-based chip, and that is pretty common on any Windows machine built in the last 4 or 5 years. So we want to go Windows 11 with ARM-based chips, and then Apple Silicon. If you do that, you should be fine, and things should work really well. And then as far as mobile devices go, iOS and Android, phones that go back 3 or 4 years seem to work just fine. So just try that out. So it's really important. And Intel Macs are now discontinued by Mac. Like, they haven't been making Intels for years, and they're not going to allow Intel Macs to upgrade to the next operating system. So those are end of life. And so it's important to think about what's happening in the M series world. So if you're an Apple fan, M3s are amazing. I have an M3 Max. It's amazing. And it's kind of middle of the road. It's incredible. And so you don't even have to go up to an M4 or an M5 if you don't want. M3s are great, but we know a lot of people on M2s, and they're awesome. In fact, the M3 Mac Mini is an incredible machine. It's really great. So there's a lot of options there. So please check it out, give it a shot, and let us know if you have issues. You can always reach out. For the rest of you, I just want to thank you, as usual, for joining us on this Tuesday. We're going to be off next week because we got another surprise, so there will not be a Strada Live next week. But the following week, we've got a new guest, and we've got a new announcement, and things might look a little different around here. So we are excited to share that with you very soon. Until then, have a great week, everybody. For those of you that celebrate it, have a happy, warm family, friend Thanksgiving this week. I wish the best to all of you. See you online. Bye-bye.